I was really inspired by Alan Watts. He's a philosopher, and he talks a lot about human behavior and mannerisms and ego and how it's an illusion. And I think that that's something that our society could improve on a lot. So I wanted to create that with, or involve that into the piece. We're also using props, and we're using these platforms, large platforms. So those kind of represent pedestals that people are put on even though they might not actually deserve to be on them. So we have a lot of hierarchy in the socialism, but also ways that we can make the dancers feel like there's a sense of equality as well. Whenever I choreograph, I actually have different choreographic processes for each time I'm making a new movement or new work. In this specific work, I found the music first. I found the speeches of Alan Watts, and it's not exactly music. It's not exactly instrumental because he's speaking. So that was something new and something different that I wanted to play with. So I have the Alan Watts speeches where he's talking, but then I have a lot of different music that you wouldn't think that it connects, or they're not similar at all. Some of it is more psychedelic, some is very classical, but to me they make sense because they're kind of like different parts of me. So I think that they all complement each other in a way, and it also takes the audience on a bit of a trip or journey. I always think that contemporary is such a vague style of dance, because everybody that is a contemporary choreographer is different. For me, there is an influence of ballet, since I am working with the Alabama Ballet and all of the dancers are very technical. But for me, this specific new work, Watts, is very human. It's kind of Tron-like. It's kind of, there's moments where I ask the dancers to be kind of like a mannequin, so it's almost uncomfortable but kind of relatable in a way. I would give it the adjective of absurd. So some contemporary ballet with a bit of an absurdity. I'm really inspired by Crystal Pite. She is a very well-known female choreographer right now, and of course I look up to her for that reason. And I also love Alexander Ekman, because he just kind of does whatever he wants on stage, and I value that. I think a good work on stage should be thought of after you leave the theater. You know, my goal is to have the audience come in, sit down, view it, and then go home and still think about it. My work is definitely complex, and I feel like when people watch it, they're not going to think the same thing that I thought while I made it. But I do hope that they're taken back, maybe a little confused, maybe some sentimental values where they actually feel some sense of any kind of emotion, whether it's love or awkward. But I definitely would want them to think about it after, like when they're at home. There is a very long dress and maybe something underneath it. I have have worked with the Alabama Ballet before, and I am a company dancer. So it's a interesting flip to be the dancer most of the time, but now I'm the choreographer, so I get to be at the front of the room. And so it's really wonderful to work with your coworkers and friends, but at the same time, I've really been grateful to receive such a respect from the people that I dance with side by side, but now they're able to look at me in a new light and take in all of my creativity. So I think that's been my favorite part.